Hey, everybody, welcome to interview number 28 of my relationship with a narc series, The Narcissist I Once Loved. This young lady that we're going to be interviewing now has been around the channel for a long time. I started talking to her when she was about, I don't know, about 18 years old. So she's, a name that is very familiar to me. This is my first time actually meeting her, though. But I've gotten bits and pieces of her story over the years. And today she's here to share, everything with us and let us know. Let's put all those pieces together. Let's put it that way. So let's welcome Imana to the show.
Yes.
Hey, what's going
Hello.
on? Look at that little cute face. So just everybody give some, us a little bit of information about you, like, who you are, where you live, where you.
Okay, so I'm Imana. I'm 21 years old. I am from Cameroon and I live in France. And I live in Paris, actually. I was born in Cameroon. I came in France when I was 12, and I've been living in France since then.
Oh, look at that. Parlez-vous français? Don't ask me nothing else because other than croissant, that's the only French I know. So
I
let's
can
get
teach
started.
you.
My mother could speak French very fluently, but I never picked it up. But
Right.
let's get started and talk about your, let's start at the beginning. Because I
Yes.
know you used to tell me like bits and pieces about your family and your brother and your dad and uncles and stuff. But kind of lay it out for those who aren't really familiar with you.
Okay, so I started when I was born or just when I was
Well,
like,
now, when you were the age where you were when you started to realize how these people were and the impact that it was having on you.
oh, okay. So it happens about when I was 4 years old. Um, I went to live with my dad. Actually, at the time, he was already separated from my mom when I was born. My mom was 19 when she had me, and my father was in his late 30s.
What?
Yes,
Child molester?
but in Cameroon, it's not unusual. It's very, it's accepted,
Oh,
especially when the man has money. Um, but they're supposed to marry the woman, and my dad just skipped the part and went straight to the baby. So,
oh, oops.
yeah. So he kind of tricked her into having me, and that's basically the only reason she did it. And once she found out like he was cheating, he was a liar, he was living with another woman, she attempted to abort by herself several times. She risked her life several times for that. Like she was like unassisted, non-medical abortions, nothing. She was by herself just trying to get rid of me.
Oh, that poor girl. She must have been desperate.
Yes, she was very desperate. And eventually my grandmother, her mother, convinced her to have me, and that if she didn't want me, she would take care of me and she would like go back to school and do whatever she wanted.
Okay.
So when I was born, she suffered from PTSD, I think that's how you
Mm-hmm.
say it. She didn't want me at all. She completely rejected me. Um, like she didn't want to have nothing to do with me at all. So I was basically taken care of by my grandmother, the relatives that were there, the neighbors, her friends, everybody but her, and my dad, of course. He was very present when I was born. Um, until like I was 3 years old when he got married with the other woman. The devil, I call her.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so I went to live with her and him, and it was very traumatic because she was extremely verbally abusive, emotionally abusive, just calling me names and telling me I'm ugly, that I'm never gonna do anything in my life. And I was like 4.
Oh my
So
God.
the time I didn't really understand, but I was hurt. I remember that I was crying a lot. Like when I was a kid, I was crying every single day at school. Just all the time. And I would eventually, when my dad would come back from work, I would tell him, she did this to me and she did this. And he would be like, oh, really? Oh, come on, I hold you. You're my baby. And then he would be like, let's forget about it. And she would do the same thing over and over for like a year. And he would just not do anything, just nothing. We just say, oh, it's okay. It's going to be all right. You know,
So he never told her she better not or anything like that?
he did try once, but she scared him somehow. He never tried again.
Oh boy.
So when I left her, I was very like traumatized when I came back. Before I used to be very joyful, playing, and just a kid. And after that, nothing. I was quiet, not talking to anybody. Just
So you went back to your grandmother?
yes, I went back to my grandmother and my mother, but she became the devil herself, actually. Um, she was also very abusive, very verbally abusive, tell me I'm ugly because I look like my dad. And my dad is not ugly at all. He's very like fine, just
Well, she was
yes,
probably, she just mad.
yes.
You know how
And
you
she
are when you're a little kid and you get angry at somebody? Because I was angry at my mother one time and I told her she was ugly. And she said, well, everybody says you look just like me. So guess what? But, that in itself, this sounds very childish. But the fact that she was doing this stuff to you every day, that's really scary. So when you left your dad and went back to your grandmother's, you were what, 5?
yes, I was 5.
5, okay. So
And
then your mother became more involved in your life.
not really. I mean, we
No?
were living together, but she was out every day. I would barely see her. Barely see her. I would just, I knew she was my mom because, I looked like her and no, but we had no intimate relationship. She was not holding me, no cuddles, nothing. She didn't even talk to me. Whenever she talked to me, it was to say something bad, tell me I'm ugly. And I remember one time my grandmother told me that when I was a baby, she was used to pinch my nose like this because she thought it was too flat. She wanted it to have a tip. I don't know, European tip, something.
Oh my
And
God.
sometimes it was like she was doing it so bad that sometimes I couldn't breathe because I was a baby. And yeah, she kept doing it. And my grandmother was so scared, like she wanted to kidnap me at some point. But but she was there every day watching me when my mom was out. She would only pretend to like me when like she had boyfriends because her boyfriends loved me. Like it's like every single man she dated was a great figure, I would say, for the time it lasted. They always, holding me, telling me I'm beautiful, uh, just giving money and being there, basically. And but her, nothing. She would just look at me.
Oh my God. What in the world happened with her?
I don't know.
So when did you escape all this madness?
Um, when she moved to France, when I was 8, finally, and I moved and went to live full time with my grandmother only. And there I was happy. For the first time in my life, I was happy. I mean, my grandmother was just an amazing person. I admire her so much. She's so much loving and soft, elegant, articulated. She's the first person who taught me basics in English, actually. Um, she she was supporting. I was a great student at school. She would always push me, you're so great, you can do better. And, she would push me to the point, like, just to motivate me, but not to say, oh, you're not good enough, you
Right.
know. She would make that difference compared to my mom and everybody else. And yeah, I was happy. I was happy. And unfortunately, I had my period when I was 10 years old. Um, and I was traumatized actually because I didn't know what it was. And she was there for me. She told me, woman hygiene and stuff. So it kind
Yeah,
of,
that's so they hadn't really they hadn't really thought it was going to happen that soon, so nobody had prepared you.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
And at one point, my uncles also were there. My mother's brothers. There was one who was alcoholic, and he had to watch me sometime, so he would make me drink.
What?
Yes, like not like beer, whiskey, vodka. Just he was crazy, but he was. Besides that, he loved me, and always there for me. And I have another uncle who was a philosopher. Actually, he was always in his head and his thoughts, but they were there as man figures, positive man figures. They always told me, if a guy bothers you, you can come to us. If anybody asks you to have sex and anything, come to us straight. So they kind of helped, like as best as they could, but they helped, I would say.
Okay. So you had your mother and your stepmother would both sound like very confused narcissists themselves. So did you
Yeah.
have any relationships with the narcissistic man that you want to tell us about?
Yes. Actually, I met him 8 months ago.
Oh,
Yes, I'm sad.
yikes.
I had to no, sorry, I will look. Just yeah, okay. So I met him 8 months ago. I was working as a hostess at a restaurant. Um, I wasn't a waiter. I don't know if you know the difference,
Hmm.
but
The hostess are the ones who greet people and seat them and make, oh, did you have a nice time, that kind of thing, right?
yes.
Okay.
So I was working at just very fancy restaurant, and I was like the star. Like once I got in, like it's like everybody wanted to go to that restaurant. It was just something about me that was so magnetic. Like anytime they would see me, people would go, and the restaurant was always full every single night. And so, of course, men wanted to date me.
I
Older
saw
men.
that eye roll. I saw that. I caught it.
Yeah, so I was very popular, and I didn't expect that much. Like I thought I was cute, but you know, and just everybody was, oh my God, you're so beautiful. You want to date me? You want to go this? You want to go there? People were inviting me every single day for trips. And at one point, I felt like I was harassed.
It gets like that when you get too much. It's just too much.
Yeah, too
Yeah.
much. And he came by one night. He was, you're gonna, you're gonna scream, but he was 51.
You're right. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's my age group. What is this? What is this? And you're younger than my daughter.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm horrified. Girl. Okay, so now let me take a breath. Okay, so what happened?
So, first of all, I liked him. I like how he looked. He looked great for 51. He's Italian American, and there was something just about accent that I just love. I have a
Okay, you're
weakness
the
for accent.
opposite of me, but go ahead.
No, American accent, not like, Arab. I don't like Arab accent, but
Oh, he had an American accent. Oh, okay.
so he was like all impressed about me. Oh, you're so intelligent. Because I told him, I love music, classical music. And I made him listen to John Coltrane. And he was like, oh my God, how come a 20-year-old know about John Coltrane? Oh my God, you're so smart.
Did you
He
tell him
would
how
tell me,
many languages you speak? That's how you know how smart you are. I want you guys to know. So what you speak, like 4 languages?
yes.
Yeah, see, I remember bits and pieces of our conversation. Okay, and she's only 20 years old, gonna be 21.
Hmm.
Girl, you got it going on, but go ahead.
So we started dating quickly after that for like a week, and then I changed my number. So I lost contacts of him. But I noted it somewhere, so I found it. So I said, "Hey," and then the first time, by that time when I reached out to him again, he would like not leave me alone. He was always there, buying me gifts, taking me places, buying me books, just all generous. It was a little bit too much. Um, but I liked it. I liked it. I liked the attention, and I thought he was smart at the time. I thought he was, um, he had my best interest in mind. So I went ahead. I let him date me. We went on a few trips. Yes. So that's what we did. In 3 weeks, he was my boyfriend.
Wow.
Yes. Something else was going on at the time. I was in a living condition where I had, it's like the bed that I was sleeping in was too, how can I say, it would hurt my back, basically. So I had severe back issues at the time, and I was just, I didn't felt right in my body anymore. And I couldn't go to work. I couldn't stand for more than 30 minutes.
Oh boy.
Yes, it was hard, and physically it was hard. So I told him about that, and he was like, "Oh yes, let's go to the um, osteopathic. I don't know how to say.
Like chiropractor?
Yes." So he paid for the whole thing, and it's very expensive because I didn't have a social security at the time because I was working. But it
Right.
was very expensive. He paid the whole thing. He was like, "Oh, but if you need to move, I can pay for it. We can get an apartment. I can give you the luxury you want. I can give you everything you want." That's what he will always repeat. Everything you want is yours. You just have to ask, basically. Um, so shortly after, when I was back on my feet, there was the French strikes, and we couldn't function in Paris. Like the transportation was hard. So I couldn't go to work anyway. There was no work anyway. The access to every places was blocked. Just it was the panic everywhere. Every single day there were, I don't know how you say that, the word, um like, I don't know how you say that. I forgot the name. But it was just, you couldn't get in your car and get to where you want at the time where you want. Like you would get in your car and you would stay stuck for like 2 hours in the
Oh
traffic.
no.
Yes. That's yes, 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 hours people would stay in their cars because there was too much traffic. So I couldn't go to work anyway. So eventually I got fired. Um, and he was like, "Oh no, don't worry, I'm gonna take care of you. I'm gonna give you everything you want." And he actually did. That was the thing. He actually did. Everything he said he was gonna do, he did it. So for me, it was a great sign until I heard that he was living with his mother.
Yikes.
He was sleeping
Okay.
on his
How was
mother.
he living with his mother? Because see, at that age, at the age we are, we're starting our parents, are in their 70s and sometimes 80s. And sometimes you do move in with them to help them out versus putting them in a home or something.
Yes.
But that's one way. But then there's the other way where they just a bum and just living with their mother just because they're just a bum. So which one do you think it was?
Actually, it was neither one. It was I figured out he just came out of depression because I saw some medication on his, on in his apartment, and I recognized the medications because I knew someone who was depressed, somebody else, that doesn't matter. But so I recognized the medication and I was like, this is antidepressants. Why are you taking this? And he told me, I just went out of depression. My second wife just left me. She was cheating. She was such a bad woman. Blah, 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 blah. So he went on depression for a year and went to live with his mother.
Ah, okay.
So that's why. And he wasn't broke at all. Like he, so I thought, maybe he had some financial issue, but nothing. He just was living with her and sleeping in the same bed.
Wait a minute.
Yes, yes. He told me he did it like a couple of times, but most of the time he was sleeping in the couch. So I was like, okay,
Okay, wait. What man does that?
I don't know.
That's just weird. Okay.
That's so after that we moved in together. He got this beautiful apartment for us and he was never there. Always on trips, business trips. So I didn't really have the time to really spend so much time with him. We would only like do date nights and stuff like 1 or 3 hours, 1 to 3 hours, and then he would go for like a whole week or 2 weeks. So I never really had the chance to, get to know him really well. We're just spending a couple of hours here and there, and then he would go and come back and then go. So it lasted for 3 months, um, until mid February of this year, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And we got into another apartment because we had issues with the other landlord who was stupid, by the way. He was racist
Oh boy.
because it was such a luxurious neighborhood, and he just didn't like the fact that um, his name is Michael. Can we call him Michael?
Yeah.
Okay. So he didn't like the fact that Michael was living with a black woman because when he went to sign the lease, I wasn't there. But once he figured, I was like, no, she can't live here. So it's either you stay alone or you have to move. So that's why we moved. Oh,
Wow.
yeah. There's still some people like that actually. Like I was shocked.
Oh, we have a lot of them here in the U.S.
Yeah,
They're less blatant about it though because we have laws and they'll get the pantsuit off of them. But
mhm.
the attitude is the same and make it so uncomfortable. Or if you show up, they just won't. They'll tell you the apartment's rented already, stuff like that.
Yes. And I actually had issue with renting for a long time since I left my mom. I left when I was 17 and it took me 3 years to get an apartment. And I had to do it through him, actually, because, he's white and wealthy and blah, blah. So it was easier. So we got into the next apartment and I, li- here I am, where I am, and I absolutely love it. It's mine now. And then I started spending more time with him. He had less trip planned, um, and he changed. Or I would say I realized how he really was. So basically, he started being disrespectful. I would clean up the house. He would put out the mess. And when I would check him, because I would always check him and say, you put the mess. And he would be like, oh, but I paid a bill. Oh, but I took care of you. Oh, you owe me everything.
Mm.
So I would be like, really? I don't owe you shit. I was working before I met you and I was living well. Why do you think but I paid this for you. I paid this for you, and you don't appreciate it. I said, no, I'm very appreciative of what you did, but this is not a reason to talk to me like this and just disrespect me, basically. And they're like, no, you're doing too much. I'm not disrespecting you. You're too much in your feelings, and just gaslighting, like you say. Um, so I was like, okay, I know what this is, and I don't want this. So at that point, I started figuring out ways to get rid of him, on his in his own apartment.
It's like, you gotta go, I'm staying.
Yes. So I just at that point I just started acting crazy. I started acting depressed, sad, aggressive, so that he would just go. I didn't want him to be there. And at the same time, I was negotiating with the landlords to put the lease on my name, because it wasn't on my name, it was only on his name. And they told me that they can't do it, but what they can do is put me on the insurance, so that whatever happens between he and I, if he decided to kick me out, uh, he couldn't legally, because I paid the insurance. So it's my apartment too. So I went ahead and did that on his back. And, but I wanted him to move physically,
Right.
and he didn't. So he started threatening me, actually, to kick me out, because he knew how much hard it is to have an apartment here in Paris. Um, and then he would, start talking about other women, how sexy they are. And one day, he even um, he even told me to go ask another woman's number for him.
What?
Yes, like straight to my face. Oh, I just wanted to kill him that night.
I know you did.
So I was like, let me not act a fool. Yeah, I'm just 20. I have plenty of time to just live my life. So let me not go in jail for this.
Yeah, no, not worth it.
So, and every day he would do that. Talk about other women, talk how sexy they are, how fine they are, how much they're attracted to him, even though they were not most of the time. He would drag me to a nice place and just flirt with the waitresses. So I was like, damn it, how am I going to get rid of him? And eventually he went on a trip to Uganda in Africa somewhere, where he loved, because the women are cheap. That's what he told me. Weird.
Ew.
Yes. So he went there, and one day he kept threatening me to kick me out. So whenever I was telling him, clean the house, do this and do that, he would say, "Oh, you need to go. You need to get out. You need to go." So I eventually, at first I was sad, because I was like, "Oh my God, how am I gonna do this?" I was anxious about it. And then I was like, he's not even here half of the time. Why are all of his stuff here? We're not together anymore. So, no. I packed all of his things and paid someone and sent him to his mother's house while he wasn't there. So he came back eventually, and he found out. He was so shocked.
Why is all my stuff in boxes over here? I love it.
Yeah, so I was like, he was like, where are all my stuff? I said, at your mother's house, where you belong. And I just told him like that, with a smile, like,
Cheating. I love it.
and then he like start crying. I'm so sorry. I love you. You always be my woman. I love you so much. I'm so sorry for treating you this way. Like he was really speaking like that. I'm so sorry. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
whatever.
He went on his knees. He started like, and I looked at him and I said, "Stop it."
Don't you just get disgusted when they do that? Hanging on your ankles and stuff? Get out of here.
Yeah. That was like, you don't have to go that far. I know you don't. Stop it. Just whatever. And then he said, "No, please, but I will let you live here as long as you want, but just stay in contact with me. Don't cut off all contacts with me. I love you, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Yeah, we can stay friends if you want to, but you don't want to be my friend, so because you treat me bad. You like threatening me every time, every single opportunity you get. I don't want to be your friend." And they're like, "No, please, please, please." So eventually I was like, "Yeah, but from a distance. I don't have to see you. You don't come to my house. You don't call me. You don't send me emails. Just
Well,
send me
dang, that's
emails."
like you just a pen pal. I'm not gonna be friends with you. We're gonna be pen pals. Imana, you cold. Oh, I'm just loving this too much. This shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah, but eventually I realized on the emails, I said, "But you can send me emails." So I changed my number anyway, so he couldn't call me. Um, and yeah, that's how it ended. That's basically how it ended. Um, the lease is still in his name at this point because he paid up until September. So he can still come here, but he's not allowed. I have the keys. I changed the lock, so whatever.
Come and sit in the outside on the outside door if he want to.
Yeah.
Oh, this is too funny.
Yes.
So that now that you understand about the narcs and you learned what you need to learn, what are you going to share with the young ladies about what they should watch out for so they don't get caught up like you did?
Um, one of the first thing I would say is that don't date when you are in a vulnerable position. Because when I started dating, I was pretty much homeless, pretty much moneyless. Like it was hard, and I thought that man was gonna help me get the stability that I wanted. I never even thought about asking, friends and stuff because, I have distress for women. Because of what I experienced, I have a hard time trusting women in general. Even if I have friends, is I keep them at a very great distance.
Mm,
Uh, so I just felt like men were my only solution. So, and men, when they see a young woman, beautiful, they just, want to have eggplant. They just think this they lost their brain. It's like they don't think anymore. They whatever. So I got caught up into relationships like that where men were only, there for the eggplant and they would tell me false promises. Of course, I didn't do anything, but I let them, I give them a little time, but time told me that most of them, if they know that you are in a vulnerable position, they're going to use that against you.
yeah, it's a tool because they know that you need, and then here they come trying to be the fairy godfather, and that's how they
Exactly.
get in.
I remember, he was always asking me, "How was your childhood? And were you happy?" And I just lied. I said, "Yeah, I was very happy."
Good
I
job.
was I was happy. My father is here because I have an uncle who looks a lot like me. So I would say, "He's my father." We call each other every time. I love my mom. My family's fine. I would just lie all the time. He would ask me about my money. I would say, "No, I'm broke." But, you know, because I was earning well from my job, but I just didn't feel like telling him that.
Right.
because one day he mentioned that, oh, we have to be equal. Like when we go to a restaurant, he wanted me to pay at some point. Like he would not tell me pay, but he like keep his check, but he would say, maybe you should pay this time. Maybe you should invite me this time. I'm like, no, I'm not inviting you, for 51 years old to the restaurant. No, no, man. Actually, I'm not. I'm not taking you out. Hell no. Like
That's right.
no.
Look at you learning all the good English words.
And I would tell him that, he would just laugh.
Oh, this is just too funny. You're cracking me up. Okay, so that's good job though. That's what you're supposed to tell him. Well, what I look like? No. Okay,
No.
so he wants you to, okay, so then what else? What are your other tips?
Other tips is just take your time. Like, oh my God, what was I thinking?
Well, you said, you was just attracted. And
Yeah,
sometimes, I mean, you can be attracted, but that don't mean you have to go in that direction. You can be
that don't.
attracted and then just put the fence up and be like, okay, well, I was attracted, but now let's do something else.
Yes. I think I could have dated him, but just not live with him, and just ask him, like, because of my problem with my bag, just ask him to just give me money to buy whatever I needed at home and stay where I was. That would
Right.
have been plenty enough. I would have avoided all this drama. Another thing is just spend some time with yourself and learn who you are, basically. Learn where you come from, spiritually, emotionally, who you are, basically. And because if you don't do that, eventually whatever is traumatic about you is going to come out some way. And men, I feel like men can sense when you have vulnerabilities, even if you don't tell him anything.
They do.
And yes, and I think he always tried to set me up. Like I felt like I always had to be on defense with him. Just always on guards. Like, oh my God, what game is he gonna play today? Just always on guards, and it's not worth it. It's not
And that
worth it.
sounds exhausting.
Yes. So spend some time with yourself and heal yourself, basically, because if you don't do it, you're never going to be happy with yourself. You're never going to even be happy in any relationship. And I learned it the hard way. Um, Also, don't look for men for security, because security comes from within. I really feel it really comes from within. Like, whatever a man is giving you, see as a bonus, but don't like expect him um, to just save you, I would say. Be your
Right.
own savior. It's very important to just be yourself and be true to yourself and take care of yourself in every level, physically, emotionally, spiritually. All of that matters, because when you are in balance like that, you attract, not you attract, but you accept a lot of things that are not for you.
Correct. That's right. Because you're looking for
That's,
somebody else to fill you up when you should be doing that
yes,
yourself. It's your
exactly.
responsibility. Okay. Is that
So
it?
yeah. And yes, don't let anybody disrespect you for any reason. It doesn't
That's
matter.
it. Dang it. Number one. We got to move that to number one. Because
Yes, number one.
everything else follows up. But to me, everything else follows behind that.
Mm,
Men disrespecting you.
yes. Don't be afraid of them. Check them. I don't care. For me now, I don't care how much money you have, how tall you are, what race you are. Just I don't care. I just don't care. I have no filter, and whatever.
My mini me.
Yes. So people get fooled by this beautiful, choky face all the time, but I don't really play like that, and I don't let people just run on me like that anymore. I'm done. Like once I left my mother and I started paying my bills, I was like, okay, now I'm a grown woman. So no, thank
That's
you.
it.
Mm,
Well, good job. Good job. You handled that just smooth, girl. Smooth. That was excellent. I know dude is still scratching his head trying to figure out what happened.
yes,
It's like,
he did not expect it.
yeah.
Yeah, I think he wanted to buy me some kind of way by giving me all these things. He thought I would be so excited that I would just not see who he was. But I spent too much time by myself, and I spent too much time on your channel to just be completely crazy like that.
Well, he
No.
didn't know. He didn't know you had all that going on,
Yeah.
because, you got to realize, most young women your age, they don't have that background and they don't have that experience. They don't have that set of tools. They're not going to even understand what's happened. They're going to think it's their fault that, they didn't do enough and that they're wrong or bad, something's wrong with them instead of saying, nope, I'm fine. It's you. So,
Mm,
that's, I think, is an advantage that you had, the fact that you did get past all of those of past relationships and understand what was at work and that it had nothing to do with you. All those word names they called you and all that stuff, none of that was true. And look at
mm.
you. Now you get the real there. That's like, she's just the cutest little thing. So I don't understand how she could even say that to you. That is just like unbelievable. If you were my baby, I'd be like, look how beautiful my baby is. You better not say nothing else. you
That
know?
was my grandmother. That was my grandmother. She was like, so beautiful. She would just treat me like I was like a goddess or something. She was just like,
Well, I'm glad she was in your life to do that for you. You deserve
yeah.
that.
And she still, yeah,
Well, when you
fortunately.
talk to her, tell her I said hi and thank you for being her.
Okay, I will.
Yeah, that's a beautiful
Thank
story.
you. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here because, I think if I didn't found you, I would just, I don't know what would happen to me. I think I saw it, I felt it, but I needed a person to just say the words for me to make
Right.
the move, you know. Because I was reading books, but books aren't any people. I need real people to tell me
Yeah.
that
Yeah. And I think, our email, exchanges were part of that too. I mean, the videos are, more generic. That's, talking to everybody. But I think our email exchanges over the years will definitely fine tune things for you.
hmm
I don't know. I always thought you were just a little cutie pie, coming to chats and stuff. I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand what's going on with them people. Why they would even say that to you. But
I'm always there.
yeah, I know. I was just like, oh, look, a little Imana. That's like my nickname for you is Little Imana. Even though, it just says Imana, but I always say Little Imana. So to me, you're just like a baby. So,
Yeah.
but you're doing good. You're doing very well. Your place looks very nice from what I can see. I'm peeping in the background, looking back. It looks very
Thank
nice.
you.
So
Thank
you
you.
go ahead, and then I'm going to get this up real soon. And,
Yes.
I'm glad that you reached out and that you participated in this to tell this story because this is some amazing stuff. To have to deal with this at so young,
Mm.
girl, I'm telling y'all are warriors, just straight warriors.
But you are too for
Oh
the
yeah,
great
but
job.
I'm not talking about me. I'm old, and I'm talking, the young people that are coming up now,
Mm.
already getting in that mode. It's just wonderful to see. It's wonderful to see that you're taking care of yourself, honoring
Yeah.
yourself, and demanding that people respect you. It's
Mm.
wonderful. Good job. Okay, so I'll see you real soon.
Yes. See you
Enjoy the rest of your
later.
day. Bye bye.
Bye bye.